Welcome back, everyone, to Pontus Fathom Hobbies. This is Season 19, Episode 1 of Tainted Grail, Last Night. We're playing the Last Night expansion. This is our initial setup, so we're fast-forwarding through the initial setup of Last Night. This takes place hundreds of years after the Fall of Avalon. So we've played Fall of Avalon through, we've played the Red Death through. Now we're jumping into Last Night. We just did a paint through for some of the minis, and we will jump into that. Also, we're going to introduce our new characters, Dagan and Sloan. So we'll read their backstories. We'll set up chapter 1 and then we'll get into gameplay. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, so we're just wrapping up the setup for our first chapter of Tainted Grail Last Night. We've got our characters on the board. We've got the initial board set up in the frozen desert. Here we've got Dagan and Sloan. I've done a quick paint through for these guys. They're not super detailed, but I just got the paint on them. I think Dagan kind of looks a little bit like the box art. If you check out his starter sheet. I try to keep it faithful to this muted colors here. I mean, obviously I gave him a bit more flesh tone, but you can go check out that paint through video as well. Okay, so let's jump into chapter 1 setup. I'm going to read their backstories first. So first we'll start with Sloan. Sloan, it says, many years spent living in the fringes of society. If our sad remnants even deserve such a lofty name, taught me one thing. People aren't worth the trouble. My family protected small folk since before I could remember. But when weirdness and cold finally tore down the old order of things, no one helped us in return. Now there's only me. I carry the traditions of my ancestors with pride, and I want you to pass down to my progeny. Actually, before I finish this, I think we should read the starting the Last Night. 400 years have passed since the one true king disappeared. So this is 400 years after Fall of Avalon. Before the menhirs burned out entirely, forcing people to shelter in scarce habitable areas. Some places flourished in a moment of glory. There were heroes, there were kings and queens, all now faded in the memory of living in the long last autumn, shifted into never-ending winter. Now snow and ice cover all, even the weirdness is a pale shade of itself, weaker than before, as if cold stifled the force of pure change. Though the four dwellers failed to reconquer their land, the millennium-long story of humans on Avalon comes to a close as something interferes with the fragile balance of the island. So here we are starting this. It says, kind of like from the rules here, maybe I'll just read this too. It says, Last Night is an additional campaign for Tainted Grail, and they recommend you playing Last Night before we play Age of Legends. So after we finish Last Night, we'll get into Age of Legends. We've already got seasons out there for Red Death and for the original Tainted Grail, if you want to go back and check those out. Okay, so going back to Sloan's story, many years have spent living on the fringes of society. I became withdrawn, avoiding others, and spending an unhealthy amount of time submerged in memories of the past. I lingered in this strange state of self-inflicted exile until something broke inside me. I was not going down without a fight. If I could further my bloodline, I could at least leave a different heritage, a story of my great deeds. Becoming a legend is not easy on the wind-swept desert. Throughout my travels, I have gathered 3 leads. Some say there is a hill in the north haunted by a ghost of a giant horse. I also heard about the Black Drifter, an undefeated beast prowling Avalon's sky. Finally, a strange pilgrim told me about a haunted meadow west of the mangrove huddle, where he's brave enough to challenge ghosts of long-dead druids. I decided they could be a good first chapter of my saga. I left Mangrove Huddle and headed north. A snow-struck storm struck soon after I departed. I didn't turn back, for I am too old to waste any more time. Soon a tall, four-armed warrior appeared in the blizzard. I know how to fight, but I also know how to avoid battle, so I decided to move away, and then I got lost. And now I'm somewhere out of Mangrove Huddle, trapped on a white wasteland, feeling like a fool. This first chapter of my saga is not very promising. Sloan Roich, the last of the Roich bloodline. Okay, that's Sloan. As we've seen Sloan, he is... His little story says, when the weirdness devoured his home, He was left only with stories of the glorious past. Now he's old and childish and wants to leave something behind, a story of his great deeds. So we've got Sloan here. And next we're going to go to Dagan. So Dagan, or Dagan. Dagan, how do we want to say it? Dagan. Here's Dagan. An orphan adopted by a wealthy butcher. It's his turn to pay the debt to his community by ending the food shortage. Yikes. That's grim. Let's read his story. Okay. My town, Mangrove Huddle, starves. The weirdness grows denser than ever, making longer hunts impossible. The tree magic weakens. The creeping cold kills our frail crops. It's my responsibility as a butcher to feed the settlement. I spoke with the elder and we decided that I, despite my short breath and my weak heart, should go and secure a new source of food. My people said their farewells, not expecting me to return, but I had a plan. I would head northwest toward Icicle Forest and check if this hunting ground was rich enough to risk going there through the dense weirdness. The second trip was a safety to make my way through the Menhir Meadow. Then I was to go far north and visit settlements. I've only heard of colony and forest sanctuary. Maybe there are some means of growing crops despite the cold. Or in the worst case scenario, we could take in people from our dying huddle. They could take in people from our dying huddle. A good risky plan. Too bad it's barely lasted an hour. The snowstorm struck. Soon after I departed, blinded, I tried to go back. Then a hulk of a knight loomed in the snow in the distance. I called to him and then noticed the knight had 4 arms. Too many not to be afraid. Like everyone, I heard the stories about 4 dwellers, monsters who almost wiped out humans in the olden days. I panicked and got lost in the blizzard. Okay, so we've got the backstories. Let's check out our chapter 1 setup. It says, important. If you haven't read the introduction section at the beginning of exploration, do so now. We read it. It contains essential information about the setup of this campaign and the unique rules. Prepare the event deck. Find all parts of chapter 1 and stack them. Now follow the instructions at the back of the card. Okay, chapter 1 said build your 4 initial encounters decks. We did. Shuffle the decks. Now you're ready to start chapter 1 of the last night campaign. So let's read chapter 1. And then we can jump into the gameplay. So chapter 1, part 1. Lost. Place this card on top of the active quest pile. After your panicked escape, you got lost on a frozen wasteland. The weirdness is even denser than in the past months, preventing you from going anywhere west where the closest safe settlement, Mangrove Huddle, lies. For now, you have to find a way to survive in this frigid environment, hoping for the weirdness to subside. Find shelter from the creeping weirdness. Since you're out in the weirdness, every day you'll gain terror according to the rules found at the start of the last night exploration journal. Focus on exploring locations. Okay, so that's that. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and then we will jump into our first turn. Thanks for watching. Plus Fathom Hobbies is brought to you by the books that we produce. We've got the 6 volumes of August Moldenhauer and Giuseppe Balsamo's Cat journals out of Lovecraft's Providence, including the Hermeticism of Hastur, Genealogy of Cthulhu, Necromancy of Nyarlathotep, and also featuring our hardcover edition of the Cat journals. We've also got the 3 volumes of August Moldenhauer's Artificial Psychoanalysis Desiring Machines, also available in our hardcover edition. We've also got our podcast series featuring the Esoteric Saturn Mysteries, the Esoteric Dragon Mysteries, and also Alchemy and Anthroposophy in the Dune Saga, a deep dive into what makes Frank Herbert's Dune Saga resonate with us. We've got a special sponsor this month, Nereus Media, featuring Benson Magos' Flowing the Tears of the Flesh Android and the Trump trilogy ending in The God Emperor Trump. Finally, we've got our newest offering, The Alchemical Courtship in the Dreamlands, taking place in Lovecraft's Dreamlands. Each volume takes place in a different Lovecraft city. Aimless in the dream city of Cellophase, Hope's Home in Iron Domed Dalathleen, Stubborn Devotions in Thrawn with the Temple of Hypnos. Check out the bookstore link, check out our Patreon. Now back to our gameplay. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into round number 1. I think we'll just do a quick exploration of the frozen desert. Frozen desert. Okay. Frozen desert. A field of white nestles under the high cliff, its top adorned with broken bridges, chains, and ropes. Everything around you is discolored, washed out in the same way. Vast snowdrifts, wisps of weirdness creeping between them, animal tracks. The wind blowing from the east brings eerie melodies, stirring nostalgia and fear in your heart. A dim glow in the south reminds you of the frozen forest abundant in game. So visit the cliffs. Go to verse 4. Okay, so let's go. Snow partially covers the corpses of poor folk who tried to climb the cliff. Broken equipment has frozen to their stiff bodies. If you don't have Lost Treasures Part 3, gain 1 non-companion item and the Lost Treasures Part 3 status. Exploration ends. Okay, so this is going to start us off well. Let's get our character sheets set up here as well. So they want us to gain Lost Treasures Part 3. Lost Treasures Part 3. Lost Treasures Part 3. And we get to gain 1 non-companion item. And so we'll go and set that 1 non-companion item up. Let's just check out the card again too. Let's just see what we've got to do here. Oh, there's a dream on this too. So here's the card. Frozen desert. On the back side, you can see the top of that. Let's go ahead and read the dream. I think we have to flip a coin to see if it's... So we're going to stay here, I guess, the evening. And we've got our characters again, Sloan and Dagon. Let's check out the dream. Oh, so there's no... Is there a nightmare? Yeah, so we can flip the dream token. And we get the dream. So the dream says, you stand amidst it. Oh, sorry about that, guys. You stand amidst a vast white field. Snow falls, but it's black and greasy. You want to hide, but find no shelter here. Then a skeletal hand touches your shoulder and whistles an unsettling melody. At first you feel terror, but then realize the intentions of this person are good. Okay, so we've jumped in the first frozen desert place. We've got to spend the food here, I suppose. So we'll do that. The past is buried somewhere under the snow. Let's figure out... I've got to kind of figure out the Menhir situation. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. I'm just kind of going through this. As you know, this game is sometimes a bit wonky. We're going to keep going through it, but hey, I'm a big fan of it. I do like the narration stuff. I think it's pretty fun. So we will see you guys in round number 2. Thanks for watching. We are playing Chapter 1, Part 1. I will see you in the next turn. Bye-bye.